What's up, everybody? It's Soren Baker here on Unique Access Entertainment. As always, please hit that subscribe button. It's right down there and it's free. That enables us to keep coming as often as possible with as many interviews as possible. So please hit that subscribe button, like our content, share it, talk about it, be about it, each one, teach one. And we appreciate your support in getting us this far. And of course, right next to that subscribe is the join button. If you haven't hit that, please do that as well. We got 3 tiers, starting off different ways you can help us support the team here at Unique Access, which enables me to help them and help myself a little bit too in the process. So please, if you could, subscribe, like, share, everything you can to help support Unique Access as we keep growing and delivering you these interviews, first and 15th, great debaters and such. Now today on the first and 15th, I've been thinking about this a lot lately, which is why I want to talk about it. But the thing is, I've seen this increasing commentary about gangster rap and how negative it was and how problematic it evolved into. But something I noticed as I thought about those commentaries, which I think there's some validity to, because of course, gangster rap wasn't only positive. It did create problems and it led to a lot of things that were not positive for rap. But I did want to point out that long before gangster rap exploded, rap had been trending towards what gangster rap became. And why this is important, in my opinion, is because I think because gangster rap exploded and because most of those artists, especially the most popular ones, were from or recording out of Los Angeles, I think a lot of the people in New York in particular looked down upon gangster rap or looked down upon the negative effects of gangster rap in their opinion. But when we take a look back, all the music that was influencing a lot of the people like the Ice-T's, the Eazy-E's, the N.W.A's, etc., wasn't coming from New York, of course, because rap until 1986-ish was 6 in the morning in Los Angeles was a lot of the electro funk. It was Egyptian Lover, it was LA Dream Team, it was stuff like that, Bobby Jimmy, all these different things that definitely was not hardcore gangster rap. And N.W.A, of course, had something to dance to. LA is the place. These are not gangster rap songs at all, or don't sound that way. So the sound and the style, but this all goes way back. And that's what we're going to talk about today here on the 1st and 15th is rap's turn before gangster rap. And, 1989 is when Straight Outta Compton, the album blew up largely because of the controversy that we saw with Fuck the Police. But way before that, we're going to get into it because 1982, The Message is the song a lot of people say is this defining moment of rap, which it is. But I also want to go back before that, which I talk about in my book, The History of Gangster Rap. You can pick up the audio copy worldwide and also pick up a copy of the book in print as well. I think you'd enjoy it. And I talk about some of this stuff in the book, The History of Gangster Rap, but I'm about to go a little deeper with more examples because I think it's important to take it even back before The Message, which I do in my book. But back in 1980, Kurtis Blow had the breaks and Hard Times. Most people, I think, overlook those songs because especially with the breaks, it kind of has that all shucks demeanor sonically. And even lyrically, it's like, those are breaks. It's nothing really you can do when things are going bad, when things aren't going well, which, there is some validity to that as well. But it didn't come off as harsh and as confrontational as we get a little bit later in rap. But this was going on in 1980, and Kurtis Blow was among the first to start really reflecting this stuff in songs that were coming out on record. And I think that's very important because this is before The Message. Now, when The Message comes out in 1982, Grandmaster Flash and the Furious 5, Melly Mel instantly solidifies himself as, a top tier, next level lyricist on record for those that didn't already know, but also as a deep thinker, as a social commentator, all these things which he had always been. But The Message solidified him, I think, for the record buying public, for the people outside of New York that hadn't maybe seen some of the battles, that hadn't heard some of the tapes and the routines that the different crews and groups were doing at that time. And that's why the message resonates with so many different people, so many different backgrounds all around the country and by default around the world. And this type of rap was making such inroads that Russell Simmons, who had worked with Kurtis Blow in 1980, who was managing him, producing him, working, doing all kinds of different things with Kurtis Blow, when he started putting together Run-DMC and was managing them and producing them, he wanted them and had them remake Hard Times. I actually talked with DMC about this recently. There's the link to it right up there for Unique Access, because even though Run-DMC to me is never looked at as a very overtly political group, if you go back and listen to a lot of their lyrics, they did have a lot of political and social commentary that later would get lumped into the street reporting or the reality rap before it was known as gangster rap, all of which I think is incredibly important and significant, because Run-DMC, despite their immense popularity and their crossover appeal and all these different things, if you go back and really pay attention to those lyrics on Hard Times, and it's like that in particular from 1983, Run-DMC was talking a lot of stuff that's going on. And then when the album came out, the eponymous debut album came out in 1984, those songs are on there, Hard Times and It's Like That. And that really showed that this type of thing is really going on, that artists are starting to bring more of this social commentary, more reflecting the ills of society on record. And of course, that continues then in 1984 with some little known records by my favorite rapper of all time named Schooly D. Now, before he had PSK, he had Gangster, Boogie, and Maniac, and even in 1985, before PSK, he had CIA for Crime in Action. And CIA, of course, interestingly, coincidentally, maybe not, was the name of Ice Cube's crew with Sir Jinx and KD that came out a few years later. But the reality is Schooly D was starting to get into this stuff, cussing on records, being profane. And the main thing that Schooly D did, unlike Kurtis Blow before him, unlike Melly Mel before him, unlike Run-DMC before him, Schooly D turned it from a third-person commentary into a first-person commentary, that he was the one smoking the weed, having the wild sex with the girl, the one buying coke, the one having a gun and pulling it out on a dude that was sounding like him. But consciously, Schooly said, you know, I had to stop with my educated mind because I ain't doing no crime. And the thing is, right there, even though this is a gangster rap record, even though Schooly D is rapping from the perspective of this dude that's having this wild, crazy sex, that's buying and doing these drugs, that's carrying a gun, that's doing all these things, that to me, growing up in Maryland and being around and seeing some of the things when I'll go into Baltimore and Washington, D.C. with the guns, with the violence that I read about in the newspaper, that I would see when I go into those cities, and that I also heard stories about, Schooly D was rapping from the perspective of someone doing it, but Schooly D added that extra wrinkle that rap is so synonymous with when it's done, I think, from this highest intellectual level of addressing these problems, but then also taking a step back and talking about ways to solve them. And Schooly D was like, even if it was just, I don't want to go to jail, not that it was wrong or not that this or that, but no, my educated mind, I don't want to be doing the time, showed right there that there's thought behind these lyrics, as menacing, as crazy, as gangster, as quote unquote irresponsible as they may be. I would argue the contrary, because if Schooly has gotten to this point where he's pulling a gun out on a dude, but he's deciding not to do it, if only for his own self-preservation, he's showing right there that there is an opportunity to think, and there is an opportunity to do the right thing, even if it's just to help yourself, not necessarily to save this dude's life that he was about to shoot in the head. But all that to be said, you know, we haven't even gotten close to 89. We're still in 1985, and rap, through all these different examples, has begun to become more street, more commentary about what's going on in society. And of course, there's more examples of this, but you know, even when we get to Gucci Time and also in 1985 on the backside, the B-side of the PSK single, he's talking about there's a shooting, a pimp is dead, a prostitute, all kinds of stuff. And this is stuff that clearly was going on in 1985, but also had been going on for decades, if not centuries earlier, throughout history, dealing with the world's oldest profession and the second oldest profession. And that's because rap has always been a reflection and a commentary from the streets, reflecting what's going on in reality and the aspirational stuff. And that's been going on since the 70s, since the routines, since the tapes. And then that obviously has continued and just deepened as the music went into being a recorded art form and records. So there's all that. And then when we get to 1986 with Ice-T with 6 in the Morning, you know, he was inspired by Schooly D. So all the artists I've mentioned so far, including Ice-T, who's from New Jersey, but Ice-T at that point is based in Los Angeles, South Los Angeles. All the people that I've mentioned so far are from the East Coast. Kurtis Blow, Melly Mel, Run-DMC all being from New York, of course, and Schooly D being from Philadelphia. So then by the time Ice-T, and we talk about this in my book, The History of Gangster Rap, hears PSK for the first time at a club in Santa Monica, he realizes PSK is short for a gang, and Schooly D is gang banging by naming his gang and talking about all this gangster stuff on this song. And so Ice-T is then inspired famously to make 6 in the Morning, which is the day in the life of a street hustler dude, Ice-T in particular, which is what he likes to refer to as faction. It's a fact-based story with some fiction into it. It's a combination of what really happened and an amalgamation / fictitious take on other things that happened. So right there, we haven't even heard the word gangster rap and all this different stuff. Although, you know, when we take it back to the Bronx, also in 86, we got two things going on. We got Boogie Down Productions with South Bronx, very confrontational, all that type of stuff, gunshots in the instrumental. But then we also get My 9mm Goes Bang. And Wadada Ding, Wadada Ding, listen to My 9mm Go Bang, which was so popular that back in this era, the go-go groups in Washington, D.C. that I grew up loving and listening to often incorporated that as a chorus or remade the song or what have you. And then Just Ice, you know, of course, affiliated with Boogie Down Productions and KRS-One as well, had to call himself the gangster of hip-hop. Now, lyrically, even on that song, which was from Back to the Old School in 1986, he said, I use a rhyme for a gun, intellect for a bullet. So even there, Just Ice is not, he's imagining these gangster, these street things, but he's doing it in an intellectual way and replacing bullets and guns and different things with rhymes and his intellect. So all that I think is very important, noticeable, and significant because this is going on again in 1986 before the term gangster rap even existed. This is going on before we get to 1987 and Eazy-E releases The Boys in the Hood. And all this is so significant to me because rap, regardless of whatever would have ended up happening, this type of momentum was building to where these street stories, this imagery of what was going on in the streets, you know, was starting to become more and more prevalent and being done by more and more artists. You know, you have Run-DMC, who, other than the Beastie Boys, I think sales-wise at this point were by far the most popular group because of Raising Hell. And then also in 1987, even somebody in Los Angeles, as the tide was turning, thanks to 6 in the Morning, thanks to the Boys in the Hood, even King T also had You Better Bring a Gun. And this, of course, had Mixmaster Spade on it and the Compton Posse. And he's detailing how, you know, people kill for a living, some slang cocaine, and Mixmaster Spade's talking about all the guns he's had and how dangerous it is living in Compton, which of course wasn't a household name at the time in 1987 when King T was helping put it on the map with Mixmaster Spade. But then, you know, King T also then is detailing in specific terms, you know, things that are going on in Watts and what it's like being carjacked. So all this type of stuff is creeping into rap. And this is just up to 1987. And that's why I think it's disappointing to dismiss and discount the fact that the Boogie Down Productions, one of the greatest rap groups of all time, Run-DMC, one of the most important rap groups of all time, Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five one of the earliest, best rap groups as far as the graduation from the routines and the tapes to then going into making actual songs and making real records. You know, all this stuff had been going on for essentially close to a decade, or really a decade in essence, before 1989 and Straight Outta Compton arrives. And then kind of this revolution of gangster rap arrives, and this revolution of the sound, the sentiment, the feel, the anger, the rage that we get. And there's so much to it that went on way before Straight Outta Compton, including, of course, Eazy-E's Easy Does It in 1988, which was hugely popular, and for a long time, for years, actually it outsold Straight Outta Compton for a variety of reasons, including the fact that it's a brilliant album. Glasses Malone and I even talked about that on Best Albums. There's a link right there. If you haven't checked that out, definitely watch that. Glasses and I are both huge fans of that album, and Glasses and I talk about that Easy Does It album periodically, and have over the years. And I say all this to say, the impact of gangster rap is so vast and so significant culturally, creatively, aesthetically. Part of the reason I wanted to write the history of gangster rap, but as I also do in my book, I think it's disingenuous to discount that this music was coming in so many different ways from so many different areas by so many different artists, that we can't just dismiss it as, oh, this is a West Coast thing, oh, this is mindless music, because it's not. Schooly D, Run-DMC, Kurtis Blow, Melly Mel, even Just Ice, even though it was only one little line that I referenced, just that one little line shows you the thought and the perspective that these artists were bringing in and putting and injecting and infusing into their material, which I think is extremely powerful, extremely poetic, extremely significant. And part of the reason why I think rap is so powerful, because of all these instances that I've cited and how they tie into then when we do get to N.W.A. and we do get to Fuck the Police and these different things that happen with gangster rap, lead up to The Chronic, lead up to Doggy Style, lead up to Compton's Most Wanted and DJ Quick, and all these different artists that have contributed a lot of great material to the genre, is very important. But it's also short-sighted to say this light switch flipped because of N.W.A., or if you want to go back a little bit before that, Eazy-E, or a little bit before that, Ice-T, or even a little bit before that with Schooly D. Yes, all those light switches, I think, got increasingly bigger as time went on, but the music had long been trending in that direction. So, as always, I'm very interested to hear what you guys think about my beliefs, my comments, my stance on this, because, you know, gangster rap is the most powerful and the most dominant form of rap, and it has been basically since 1989. So please hit me in the comments section. Let me know what you think. Definitely always appreciate hearing from you, and, you know, definitely glad to be able to speak here on the 1st and 15th to you. As always, please subscribe. If you've already done that, please tell a friend. Got to get these numbers up so we can get to that #1 spot in the game. And also, please join helping Unique Access come to you as often as possible moving forward. I'm Soren Baker. Follow me everywhere at Soren Baker. Please pick up the history of gangster rap, and I appreciate your support with Unique Access and everything else that I'm doing. Until next time.
In the beginning, hip-hop was ruled by the East Coast. Then the West Coast rose to prominence thanks to gangster rap.
Straight outta Compton, crazy motherfucker named Ice Cube.
Hip-hop changed the world. Gangster rap changed the narrative.
I'm representing for the gangsters all across the world.
And then changed the world again.
Cause I'll come and take your life away.
The history of gangster rap features unheard stories, unseen photos and documents, all with exclusive interviews from the founders and players who shaped gangster rap.
I think a real gangster rapper has to scare you a little bit.
The history of gangster rap, written by veteran rap journalist Soren Baker. In stores now.
Yo, what up? This is DJ Quick. Be sure to pick up my homeboy Soren Baker's book, The History of Gangster Rap, if you really want to know what we do.